decided to do a 30-day challenge for myself. And every day I'm going to be posting a video. It's been in my heart for a really long time, this idea that school and the education system doesn't really teach us the things that we really need to live a successful life. There is this life outside of work that I always felt that I was lacking knowledge in. And so basically I've set to myself this challenge to every day for 30 days, every day choosing one topic that I wish that I had learnt when I was a kid. So I hope you enjoy it. Have an amazing day. Alrighty, good morning. It's not actually morning, it's afternoon, but good day to you. I am still in my pajamas, yes, and that is what is happening today. I was trying to think about what my first video that I would post would be, and so yesterday I made this intro video just to kind of explain what the 30-day thing is about, and I had this grand idea of what I thought it would be, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna do this amazing edit, and by amazing I mean in my skill set it was gonna be amazing for me. I love film, and I actually studied film, and I did a long time ago, but I did it, and I actually really enjoy editing little clips, and I find it really fun. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna splice together this with this music, and it's gonna be awesome, and I'm gonna throw together a little clip at the end. It's gonna be like, oh, stoke is high. And technology was just not working for me. My computer is probably like about 7 years old. In fact, it is over 7 years old. And it doesn't operate really, if I'm being honest. I record things on my phone because it's newer and it works, but my computer is good for internet. I've discovered that it no longer wants to create things anymore. Anyway, so yesterday was a bit of a lesson for me, and I was like, hey, well, it was a lesson on failure. And I was like, you know what? This is going to be my first one. This is so relevant. It is so happening right now. And I need to put that down because I'm just going to keep flicking it. It's a great lesson on failure and what we as a society are taught that means, or at least the society that I have been raised and reared in. So failure. What we are taught is, well, what I was taught, and what I often see around me being taught, is failure isn't really acceptable. It's not something that should happen or is acknowledged as a reality of our experience. And I always find it really funny because when we are kids, it's just part of the process. You have to fail to get better at something. It's just so innate. And it's windy. I was thinking about in terms of the advice I would give for kids, and it was this idea that when a kid falls over, if you go over and rush over to them and be like, oh, are you okay? And they're gonna make a bigger deal out of it. So usually you just go, you're good, get up. Oh, it just was like a good try. And if they've tried something new and they've not gotten it right, it's like, oh, that's okay, you're trying. And we congratulate kids quite a lot for trying when they're younger. And then when they get a bit older, comes in this idea of needing to just get it. It's like, okay, you've had your learning time now, and now you should know, you should understand, you should get it. And we lose this joy and curiosity toward failure. And so I have, over the years, cultivated this mindset of failure equals bad. And I think this is not an uncommon thing. I think it's quite common that people feel this idea of failure is bad. And I think that if I could go back to my childhood self and give this first piece of advice, would be failure is good. Failure means that you're working towards something. Failure means you are learning something. You're getting feedback. And instead of seeing that as, oh, I failed again. So it's like, even the way people say like, oh, I failed, it's like so flat. So ugh. It's like, what about if we started being in celebration of our failure? Every time we fail, we like get up and we do a happy dance. It's like, yes, another thing failed again. What? How many times did you fail today? Awesome. And I think the reason this is so big is because when we are scared of failure, we don't try. Or at least that is my experience. When I become fearful of failure, I don't try. When I was living in Whistler, I'm a pretty confident skier, can ski most things, not much stress. But in the summertime, I was having two different thoughts there. I was talking about the skiing and then biking, but I'm gonna go with biking. So yeah, on the same mountain, I then started learning to mountain bike, and I've never really biked, let alone mountain biked. And so it was a very, very new experience for me. And because I was so set in my ways as a skier, and it was on the same mountain, just, no snow, and just instead of skis, it was a bike. I was so set in my ways of being good at something, and I had just gotten so comfortable and complacent in this idea that I was good at something, and that I was never really pushing my boundaries to get better. And so I gotten pretty good, but I was never exceptional. I wasn't the best skier on the mountain, because I got pretty good, and that was good enough. Like, I could do most things. And I think that's good, but it's when we're faced with fear, and the fear is the thing that is stopping us because we're afraid to fail. So you get good enough, or you get, to a certain point, and you're like, this is good enough. So I don't want to look bad, because I'm pretty good. So I don't want to look bad. And so anyways, when I started this biking, oh my gosh, I failed all the time, miserable. And I would have like genuine fits. Like, I felt like a 2-year-old learning to bike for the first time. I would just like I don't know if I ever threw my bike, but I would definitely kick up some dust and kick the dirt and throw my helmet off, not throw it on the ground, just, put it down by my side aggressively, and frustration. And I got some good scars on my arms from all my failures. I don't know if you can see them. Separated this shoulder in failure. Not so fun. But what that taught me is I had to fail to get better. And it was in the failures that my body learnt, oh, if I do this move, I'm gonna fall. If I am holding on too tight in fear, I'm gonna fall. If just so many different things. Anyway, so just the constant failure actually really opened my mind to the growth that was possible once I was allowing myself to fail. When I was too busy like trying to stay on my bike, like, oh, can't fall off. Ugh. You just get really stiff and stagnant, and you're not gonna progress very fast. But if I allowed myself to open up to the possibility that I would fall off, and that if I fell off, I'm actually gonna get better at falling off. I actually, save for the separated shoulder, I actually got back on the next season. So my first season, I just went a bit too hard, too fast, and separated my shoulder, and that was me done for that first season. But then the second season, I got back on, and I was so like, hold on to the bike, just scared. And I realized that fear of failure, of falling off and screwing it up and hurting myself, was getting in the way of me getting better. And I had to really let go of that fear. And yeah, once I let go of that, I fell. I did fall. But because I was allowing myself to fall, and I was allowing myself to do these things, it was training my body to fall in different ways. And it was anyway. I'm getting a bit too deep into this metaphor, but yeah, so failure is a good thing. And if you're not a bike rider and you're just talking in your daily life, failure in terms of, okay, we're afraid to potentially enter new spaces. So if you've been in a work field for a while and you've gotten pretty good and you might be afraid to step into a new role or a new responsibility or expand beyond what you're comfortable in because you're afraid to make a failure. Make a failure? Can you make a failure? I don't know. We're making failures today. We can make failures. We're gonna make that a verb. I don't know what I'm saying. Anyway, yeah, so we're afraid to fail, exactly like me just then. Like, I am having this fear that I am going to screw up what I'm saying, and my making failure is not technically grammatically correct, and that might be considered a failure, but hey, I'm putting out something into the world and I'm trying it anyway, and my video editing didn't work and I'm still gonna post this anyway, just raw, unaltered, and it might be, I'm gonna look back and it probably just like, what did I do? But that's okay, because I had to go through this to get to the next thing, and that's gonna open me up. And there's a really joyous freedom when you let yourself fail, when you open yourself to the possibility of joy when you screw it up. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna screw this up really, really well. And like, okay, so I actually just saw my longboard in the background there. I just started longboarding like a month ago. And when you start a new sport, it's pretty embarrassing. Like, when you're an adult, people look at you kind of funny, and like, I'm standing and like wobbling and like falling off, and my board's going one way and I'm going the other. And if I let that embarrassment and that failure stop me from learning, then I would never get good. I would never move past that. And so as a kid, if we're cultivating this idea, as adults, if we are cultivating this idea in kids, this notion of failure is good, like, keep failing, keep going, like, it's cultivating a mindset of resilience, and it's cultivating this idea of keep going and keep trying and keep throwing spaghetti at the wall kind of situation of just be willing to put yourself out there, and eventually you will succeed. And I think a lot of this comes back to, in this day and age, we are in this age of everything is so visible, but it's not. So for example, you see the online content that's being produced, and it's like, oh, everyone's succeeding and everyone's doing this and everyone's doing that, but we're not seeing the failures a lot of the time. But what I've noticed is, especially in Instagram, because I'm a big Insta person, I love my Instagram, and I notice that the people I feel drawn to, and I notice who have quite a few who are getting more momentum and followers, are the people who are being authentic, who are showing the failure, or who are showing the backside of their Instagram feed that isn't so pretty, isn't so refined and picture friendly. They're showing the bits that aren't perfect yet. And I think that is such a huge big step in celebrating failure. So if I was to try and instill this into myself first of all, celebrating failure, how do we begin to celebrate failure? Well, I personally am not very good at it. I'm still working on it. But when I am looking to celebrate failure, it's I just think you got to get out of your head, get out of your body. And so I will oftentimes just do something silly, like change your state, change your body, in terms of, for example, there is scientific research to support this, that if you are feeling sad and you smile, it will release chemicals in your brain to make you feel happy. Similar, Harvard did a study about the superhero pose, the whatever this is called, power pose. Thank you. No one said it, but power pose. And when you do this, it actually releases testosterone. I can't remember the exact percentage, but it within 2 minutes you can increase your energy, which makes you more likely to take risks and do things that you wouldn't ordinarily do. And so there are things that you can do in your body physically to change your mental state. And that can be a really good one. And so one piece of advice I was given is kind of like, you know, when a kid falls over and you're just like, oh, look at the example I gave before. When a kid falls over, we're like, oh, get back up, you're good, and kind of shake it off and make a joke out of it. And like, yeah, you fell off, that's awesome, you did so good. That's kind of a habit I've gotten into with kids, because I notice if you celebrate it, they'll see it as positive. They don't know that it's bad unless you tell them, like, oh, you okay? Like, sure, if they're in a lot of pain, they're gonna be sore, but mentally they're not going to associate fear with that moment. So if a kid's falling over or screws something up and comes to crying, if you are there going, oh, I'm really sorry that happened to you, and I'm are you okay? Like, they're going to associate that I know you're trying to be supportive and you're trying to be empathetic, and that's amazing. But can you bring that support and empathy with some like energy of like, holy moly, I can totally understand that you must be like physically in pain, but you are amazing. Like, wow, you got up there and you tried and you failed. Awesome. What are you going to learn for next time? I bet you're going to do it so much better next time. Like, so cool. Like, let's keep going. Like, are you going to get back on the bike today or tomorrow? Like, when are you going to be healed? Or not the bike metaphor again. Do you know what I mean? Like, this bringing the same, I'm still being supportive, I'm still being encouraging and empathetic to the situation. I'm not going like, brush it off, you're fine. In which case can also have like a dismissal of the failure. Like, it's not even something that should be happening. If you're like, oh, shrug it off, you'll be fine. It's not acknowledging the importance of that step toward success. Being able to stop and be like, okay, this moment is important. Let's celebrate this moment. You are okay, you're good, you're gonna keep moving forward. And so I guess that would be my advice toward kids, is bringing some empathy, bringing some love to that, but also raise the energy, raise the vibration to say, yes, like, that was awesome. Like, almost like a celebration. And you can do the same thing for yourself. It's like, if you've, I don't know, bring some lightness to it. Of course, if you've screwed something up for a business proposal, or if you personally in a relationship screwed up, of course you're not going to be belittling the other person's feelings or their needs, because you have not brought forward what you needed to do in that interaction. But there's also nothing really to be gained in pushing yourself down and making yourself feel bad for that failure and needing to show up in that way. We don't, as much as we may think we do, we don't actually perform better under stress. Well, so maybe, but in terms of putting ourselves down does not really make us do better the next time. Instead, if you're approaching it with empathy and understanding, like, I have genuinely made a mistake, but like celebration of, wow, I made this huge momentous mistake and I will never make the same mistake again. I have learned so much. What a gift this screw up was. Like, how amazing that I thought, I don't know how I could say that aloud, but I did anyway. Fantastically screwed up. Okay, that is my ramble for this day, and that is the first of the 30 things. What is it? First of the 30. Oh my goodness, what is this even called? What are we even doing here? We're talking about something. Things that I would tell my childhood self. Advice. There we are. That was the word I was searching for. That would be the first piece of advice I would give to my childhood self, is failure is good. Failure is awesome and to be celebrated, and something to be jump up and down about it, and but also approached with empathy and understanding. I don't know if there's a third. My third one is go and fail today. Go fail fantastically at something. Fail so superbly that you will look back and be like, holy moly, I did something so out of my comfort zone that pushed me so beyond the limited thought of what I thought I could do or who I could be today. And again, just like a kid learning something, we imagine the kind of space that we could create and the things that we could create and the people we could become if we weren't afraid to go and talk to that person, or to go and start that business, or to go and do the things we love, do something that excites us, that has been fearful in the past for us. So that is the ramble of the day. I hope you liked it. If you did, if you got something out of this, I would be so grateful if you could share it with someone who you think might get something from it. And I'm going to be here checking in for the next 30 days, coming up with a new thing every day. So if you want to keep in the loop and stay up to date with my 30 things, if you're just interested, feel free to subscribe. And I may or may not be in my pajamas every day, and my hair may or may not be a puffy, huge mess situation. And I'm probably not going to say as much, I hope. I've noticed that. Awesome failure, Claire. That is a self-high five, not a clap, in case you were wondering. Okay, I'm going to go and I'm going to try and fail 5 times today. I'm going to go screw up 5 things really, really well. Really, really well? Really, really well. Anyway, that was 1. In fact, I think that's 2. 2 out of my 5. Have an amazing day. Not a lot of water, and now there's like a lot of water. Yeah, I have to get over there. Yeah.